The moment I saw my mother's face turn white as snow, I knew my life was about to fall apart. I'm Mike, and 3 months ago, I thought I had it all figured out. Rich family, fancy cars, and the most beautiful girl in the world by my side. But sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones hiding the biggest secrets. Wait, let me back up. Before I tell you what happened that night at the party, you need to know why that tiny piece of jewelry around Emma's neck made my mother look like she'd seen a ghost. Trust me, by the end of this story, you'll understand why one necklace destroyed 3 families and changed everything I believed about love, trust, and who I really am. It all started 6 months ago when I met Emma at a coffee shop near my college. I was rushing in, late for a meeting with my study group, when I bumped into this girl waiting in line. Her books went flying everywhere, and when I bent down to help her pick them up, our eyes met. "I'm so sorry," I said, handing her a thick book about art history. "It's okay," she smiled. "Happens all the time." But it wasn't okay with me. This girl was different. She had these warm brown eyes that seemed to see right through all the fake stuff I was used to. Most girls at school only talked to me because my dad owned half the city. But Emma, she had no idea who I was. "Can I buy you a coffee?" I asked. "To make up for the book explosion?" She laughed. "Book explosion? Is that what we're calling it? I'm Mike, by the way." "Emma." That first coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into long walks around campus. Before I knew it, I was head over heels in love with a girl who made me feel normal for the first time in my life. Emma lived in a tiny apartment with her grandmother. She worked 2 jobs to pay for school and never asked me for anything. When I tried to pay for our dates, she'd insist we split everything. When I offered to help with her tuition, she got upset. "I don't need your money, Mike," she'd say. "I need you to see me for who I am, not what you can do for me." And I did see her. Emma was smart, funny, and kind to everyone she met. She volunteered at the animal shelter on weekends and always had time to help other students with their homework. She made me want to be a better person. The only thing she never talked about was her family. Whenever I asked about her parents, she'd get quiet and change the subject. All she ever said was that her grandmother raised her and that her parents weren't in the picture anymore. "Some stories are too sad to tell," she'd whisper when I pushed too hard. I respected that. We all have things we don't want to talk about. For 3 months, Emma and I were inseparable. I'd never been happier, but I was also scared because I knew eventually I'd have to introduce her to my family. And my family, well, they had very specific ideas about who I should be with. My mother, Catherine Williams, came from old money, the kind of family that had their names on hospital wings and museum galleries. She'd been planning my life since I was born, what schools I'd attend, what career I'd have, and especially who I'd marry. "The Williams name means something, Michael," she'd tell me. "We have a responsibility to maintain our family's reputation." My father was different. David Williams built his fortune from nothing. He started with one small store and turned it into a billion-dollar empire. He understood hard work and respected people who earned their way. But he also knew how important my mother's approval was to keeping peace in our house. I put off introducing Emma to them for as long as I could. But when my mother announced she was throwing her annual charity gala, she made it clear I was expected to bring a date. "Bring that nice Sarah girl," she suggested. Sarah was the daughter of another wealthy family. We'd gone to a few events together, but there was no spark. Her father just donated a wing to the children's hospital. "Mom, I'm seeing someone," I finally said. Her eyes lit up. "Oh, tell me about her. What family is she from?" "Her name is Emma. Emma Johnson. She's amazing, Mom. She's smart and kind and—" "Johnson?" My mother frowned. "I don't know any Johnsons in our circle." "Where did you meet her?" "At school. She's studying art history." "Art history." The way she said it made it sound like a disease. "What do her parents do?" "She lives with her grandmother." "I see." My mother's voice got cold. "Well, I suppose you should bring her to the gala. I'd like to meet this Emma Johnson." The way she said Emma's name made my stomach twist. But I told myself everything would be fine. Once my mother met Emma, she'd see what I saw. She'd understand why I loved her. I was so wrong. The night of the gala, Emma looked incredible. She wore a simple black dress she'd bought with money from her part-time job at the bookstore. It wasn't designer like the other women would be wearing, but she looked more beautiful than any of them. Around her neck, she wore a delicate gold necklace with a small pendant. I'd seen her wear it every day since we met, but I'd never asked about it. It seemed important to her, so I figured it was a family piece. "You look perfect," I told her as we walked up the steps to my family's mansion. "I'm nervous," she admitted. "What if your parents don't like me?" "They will," I lied. I was nervous too, but I didn't want her to know. The gala was in full swing when we arrived. The ballroom was filled with the richest people in the city, all dressed in clothes that cost more than most people made in a year. Everyone was laughing and drinking expensive wine, talking about their vacation homes and charity work. Emma stayed close to my side as I introduced her around. Some people were polite but distant. Others barely looked at her. I could see she was uncomfortable, but she smiled and made conversation anyway. "This is quite a party," she whispered to me during a quiet moment. "You're doing great," I assured her. Then I saw my mother walking toward us, and my heart started pounding. "Michael," she said, kissing my cheek. Then she turned to Emma with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "And you must be Emma." "It's so nice to meet you, Mrs. Williams," Emma said, extending her hand. "Thank you for inviting me to your beautiful event." My mother shook Emma's hand briefly. "Of course. Michael has told me so much about you." That was a lie. I'd barely told her anything because I knew she wouldn't approve. "Your home is incredible," Emma continued. "And this charity work you do is so important." "Yes. Well, we believe in giving back to our community." My mother's eyes moved over Emma's dress, her shoes, her hair. I could see her taking inventory, judging every detail. Then her gaze stopped on Emma's necklace. The change in my mother's face was instant and terrifying. All the color drained away. Her eyes went wide with shock, then narrowed with something that looked like anger or fear. "Where did you get that necklace?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emma's hand moved to touch the pendant, a protective gesture I'd seen her make before. "It was my mother's." "Your mother's?" My mother repeated the words like they tasted bitter. "Yes. It's all I have left of her." The silence stretched between them. Around us, the party continued, but it felt like we were in our own bubble of tension. "I need to speak with you privately," my mother said to me, her voice sharp. "Mom, we're in the middle of—" "Now, Michael." Emma looked between us, confused and hurt. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," I said quickly. "I'll be right back." But I knew everything was not fine. The look on my mother's face was pure panic, and I had no idea why. She pulled me into her study and closed the door. "Where exactly did you meet this girl?" she demanded. "I told you at school." "Mom, what's wrong? Why are you acting like this?" "That necklace she's wearing." "Tell me everything you know about it." "I don't know anything about it. It belonged to her mother." "Why does it matter?" My mother sank into her chair like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. "It matters because I gave that necklace to someone 25 years ago. Someone I thought was gone forever." My blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "Before I married your father, I was engaged to someone else. A man named James Johnson. Johnson. Emma's last name. We were young and in love, but my parents didn't approve. He came from a poor family, worked construction to put himself through college. They threatened to cut me off if I married him. So what happened? I was weak." Tears started forming in my mother's eyes. "I chose my family's money over love. I broke up with James and married your father instead." "But the necklace!" "James had a daughter from a previous relationship, a little girl named Sarah. I gave her that necklace before I left. She was only 5 years old, and she was so sad that I was going away." My head was spinning. "Are you saying Emma is—" "I don't know. Maybe Sarah changed her name. Maybe Emma is her daughter. But that necklace, there's no way two people could have the exact same one. I had it made specially." "You're being crazy, Mom. Lots of necklaces look similar." "No." She shook her head firmly. "Look at the pendant closely. It's a small rose with a tiny diamond in the center. I designed it myself. There's only one like it in the world." I thought about all the times I'd seen Emma touch that necklace when she was nervous or sad. The way she never took it off, even to sleep. How she'd said it was all she had left of her mother. "I have to know," my mother whispered. "I have to know if that girl out there is connected to James." Even if she is, so what? That was 25 years ago. You don't understand. My mother looked up at me with fear in her eyes. If Emma is James's daughter or granddaughter, then there are things I never told your father. Things that could destroy our family. Before I could ask what she meant, there was a knock on the door. Come in, my mother called. Emma peeked her head in. I'm sorry to interrupt, but some people were asking for you, Mrs. Williams. Something about the auction. Of course. My mother stood up and smoothed her dress, trying to look normal. Thank you, dear. But as Emma stepped fully into the room, my mother gasped. What's wrong? Emma asked. My mother was staring at Emma's face like she was seeing it for the first time. And maybe she was. In the bright light of the study, without the shadows and crowd of the ballroom, Emma's features were clear. She had my mother's nose, her father's strong jaw, and her eyes had the same unusual golden flecks that I'd seen in old photos of my mother's family. Nothing's wrong, my mother said, but her voice was shaking. Emma, tell me about your grandmother. What was her name? Rose, Emma said. Rose Johnson. But she passed away last month. Rose. My mother sat back down heavily. And your mother? Sarah Johnson. She died when I was little. Sarah, the little girl my mother had given the necklace to 25 years ago. Which meant Emma wasn't just connected to my mother's past. Emma was my mother's stepdaughter. Which made Emma... No, it couldn't be. But as I looked at Emma standing there in the light, I could see it. The resemblance was subtle but definitely there. The same high cheekbones. The same way of tilting her head when she was thinking. Emma, my mother said quietly, what happened to your father? I never knew him, Emma said, looking confused by all these questions. My grandmother said he died before I was born. He didn't die, my mother whispered. Emma frowned. What do you mean? I felt sick. This couldn't be happening. Your father is James Johnson. And James Johnson. My mother looked at me, with tears streaming down her face. James Johnson is your father's younger brother. The room started spinning. Emma was my cousin. The girl I loved, the girl I wanted to marry, was my cousin. And my mother had kept this secret for 25 years. I don't understand, Emma said, her voice getting smaller. Your father isn't dead, honey, my mother continued. I told him to stay away 25 years ago. I told him if he ever tried to contact you or your mother again, I'd make sure he lost everything. You're lying, Emma whispered. I wish I was. Your father works construction downtown. Williams Construction. He's been working for your boyfriend's father for 15 years, never knowing his daughter was dating his nephew. Emma looked at me, her eyes wide with horror and disbelief. Mike, she said, and her voice broke. Tell me this isn't true. But I couldn't say anything. I was too busy trying not to throw up. Everything made sense now. Why Emma never talked about her family. Why she seemed so familiar to me from the first day we met. Why my mother reacted so strongly to that necklace. I need to leave, Emma said, backing toward the door. Emma, wait, I started. No. She held up her hand to stop me. I need to think. I need to. I can't be here right now. She ran out of the study, leaving me alone with my mother and the biggest mess I'd ever seen in my life. How could you not tell me? I shouted at her. I thought he was gone forever. I never imagined. How could I have known you'd meet her? You ruined everything. I was angrier than I'd ever been. I love her, Mom. You can't love her, Michael. She's your cousin. Because of choices you made 25 years ago. I ran after Emma, but by the time I got to the front door, she was already gone. The valet said she'd taken a taxi. I called her phone over and over, but she wouldn't answer. For 3 days, I tried to reach her. I went to her apartment, but she wouldn't come to the door. I waited outside her classes, but she didn't show up. I even went to the bookstore where she worked, but her manager said she'd called in sick. Finally, on the 4th day, she agreed to meet me at the coffee shop where we first met. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were red and puffy from crying. Emma, I found him, she said before I could say anything else. What? My father. I went to Williams Construction and asked to speak with James Johnson. He was so shocked to see me, he almost fainted. I sat down across from her, my heart pounding. He told me everything. How he loved your mother, but she chose money over him. How he tried to fight for custody of me after my mom died, but your mother's lawyers made it impossible. How he's been watching me from far away my whole life, making sure I was okay but never being able to be my dad. Tears started rolling down my cheeks. Emma, I'm so sorry. He's been working for your father for 15 years. 15 years, Mike. He's been building buildings for the family that stole his daughter from him. What do we do now? I asked. Emma looked at me with the saddest smile I'd ever seen. Now we say goodbye. No. Emma, we can figure this out. How? She asked. How do we figure out that we're cousins? How do we figure out that your family destroyed mine? How do we figure out that everything we felt for each other was what? Wrong. That word hit me like a punch to the stomach. It's not wrong, I said desperately. We didn't know. We fell in love before we knew. But we know now. So we just give up. We just pretend the last 6 months didn't happen. Yes, she whispered. That's exactly what we do. She stood up to leave, but I grabbed her hand. Wait. There's something else, isn't there? Something you're not telling me. Emma looked down at our hands, and I saw a tear drop onto my fingers. Your mother offered me money. A lot of money. What? She came to see me yesterday. She said if I disappeared and never contacted you or your family again, she'd give me enough money to finish college and start a new life somewhere else. I felt like the world was collapsing around me. Please tell me you said no. Emma pulled her hand away from mine. I said yes, Mike. And that's when my heart completely shattered. But I had no idea that the real shock was still coming. Because what Emma told me next changed everything I thought I knew about my family, about love, and about the truth that had been hiding in plain sight my entire life. There's something else your mother doesn't know, Emma said, reaching up to touch her necklace one more time. Something I found out when I met my father. She looked me straight in the eyes. This necklace? It's not the one your mother gave to my mother 25 years ago. That necklace was lost in a fire when I was 10. Then where did you get this one? My grandmother bought it for me right before she died. She said it looked just like the one I lost, and that she wanted me to have something to remember my mother by. I stared at her, confused. So it's not the same necklace? No, Mike. It's not. Then why did my mother react like that? Emma's smile was bitter and full of pain. Because your mother has been lying to everyone for 25 years. The real reason she doesn't want us together has nothing to do with us being cousins. What are you talking about? We're not cousins, Mike. My brain couldn't process what she was saying. But she said my dad and your dad are brothers. That's the lie. James Johnson isn't your father's brother. He's not related to your family at all. Then why? Because I'm not James Johnson's daughter either. The coffee shop seemed to tilt around me. Your mother saw this necklace and panicked because she thought I was someone else. Someone whose existence would destroy her marriage and her perfect life. Emma, you're not making any sense. She leaned across the table, and I could see the hurt and anger burning in her eyes. I'm making perfect sense, Mike. I'm just not the person any of us thought I was. And the secret your mother is so desperate to hide? It's not about some old boyfriend she left behind. She paused, and I could see her gathering courage for what she was about to say. It's about the baby she had with him. The baby she gave away and told everyone died. What baby? Emma touched the necklace one more time, then slowly lifted it over her head. This necklace isn't my mother's, Mike. And it's not from your mother either. She turned the pendant over, and for the first time, I saw what was engraved on the back. In tiny letters it said, For Emma. Love, Mom. My grandmother didn't buy this necklace because it looked like my mother's old one, Emma said quietly. She bought it because she wanted me to know the truth before she died. What truth? Emma set the necklace on the table between us. Sarah Johnson wasn't my mother, Mike. She was my adoptive mother. And James Johnson isn't my father. I felt like I was drowning. Then who are your parents? Emma looked me straight in the eyes, and I saw 20 years of lies and pain and secrets staring back at me. My mother is Catherine Williams. Your mother. The words hit me like a truck. And my father is the man she was really having an affair with 25 years ago. Not James Johnson. Someone else entirely. Who? Someone who's been in your life every single day for 20 years. Someone who helped raise you and loved you and never knew he had a daughter. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold onto the table. Emma, who is your father? She picked up the necklace and held it up so the light caught the pendant. Your father, Mike. David Williams is my father. And then, as if that wasn't enough to completely destroy my world, she smiled the saddest smile I'd ever seen. Which means we're not cousins after all. We're brother and sister. The moment Emma said those words, I felt my entire world collapse into nothing. Brother and sister. I sat there staring at her, unable to move, unable to breathe, unable to think. The girl I loved with every piece of my heart had just told me she was my sister. You're lying, I whispered. You have to be lying. But even as I said it, I could see the truth written all over her face. The same truth that explained why I felt so connected to her from the moment we met. Why being with her felt like coming home. I wish I was lying, Mike. Emma's voice was barely a whisper. I've known for 3 days, and I keep hoping I'll wake up and this will all be a nightmare. How do you know for sure? Emma pulled a folded paper from her purse. My grandmother left me a letter. I only found it after she died, hidden in her jewelry box with this necklace. She handed me the letter, and I could see her hands shaking. Read it, she said. The handwriting was shaky, like it was written by someone who was very sick. My sweet Emma, if you're reading this, then I'm gone and it's time for you to know the truth. You are not Sarah's biological daughter, though she loved you like you were her own. Your real mother is a woman named Catherine Williams. She was very young and very scared when she had you. Your father is David Williams, Catherine's husband. She had an affair and got pregnant, but she couldn't tell anyone because it would have ruined her marriage and her family's reputation. She came to me when you were just 3 days old. She begged me to take you and raise you as my own granddaughter. She said she would give me money to take care of you, but I told her I didn't want her money. I wanted you. Sarah couldn't have children of her own, and when I brought you home, she fell in love with you immediately. We decided to tell everyone you were hers, and we moved away so no one would ask questions. I've watched your real parents from far away all these years. They had a son named Michael 2 years after you were born. You have a brother, Emma. A brother who doesn't know you exist. I'm sorry I kept this from you for so long. I was trying to protect you. But now that I'm dying, I think you deserve to know where you come from. The necklace was a gift from your real mother on the day she gave you to us. She said it was so you'd always have something from her, even if you never knew who she was. I love you more than words can say. Grandma rose. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the letter. Everything made sense now. Why Emma looked familiar. Why she seemed like family from the first day we met. Why my mother panicked when she saw that necklace. She knew, I said. The moment she saw you, she knew exactly who you were. Yes, and she's been trying to get rid of me ever since. I thought about my mother offering Emma money to disappear. The lies about Emma being my cousin. The panic in her eyes when she saw that necklace. We have to confront them, I said. Mike, no. Think about what this will do to your family. What this will do to our family, I corrected her. Emma, you're my sister. You're part of this family, whether my mother wants to admit it or not. But if we tell them, everything will fall apart. Your parents' marriage, your father's business reputation, everything they've built. Built on lies. I stood up, anger burning through me. Emma, they abandoned you. They gave you away like you didn't matter, and then pretended you didn't exist for 23 years. Your father doesn't even know I exist. This isn't his fault. Then he deserves to know he has a daughter. Emma looked terrified. What if he doesn't want me? What if he thinks I'm trying to destroy his family? I reached across the table and took her hands in mine. Then that's his loss. But Emma, I know my dad. He's a good man. If he knew about you, he would have fought for you. You really think so? I know so. That night, I asked both my parents to meet me in my father's study. I'd barely slept, trying to figure out how to tell them what I knew. How do you tell your parents that their 23-year-old secret is sitting in your living room? When they walked in, my mother looked nervous. She'd been avoiding me since the night of the gala. Michael, what's this about? My father asked, settling into his chair. It's about Emma. My mother went pale. Son, I thought we discussed. You lied to me, Mom. I didn't lie. I told you Emma was related to. Emma isn't James Johnson's daughter, I said, cutting her off. And you know it. The The silence in the room was deafening. My mother looked like she was about to faint. "What are you talking about?" my father asked, looking confused. I pulled out my grandmother Rose's letter. Emma's grandmother left her this before she died. "It explains everything." My mother lunged forward. Don't what, Mom? Don't tell Dad the truth? Don't let him know he has a daughter." "What daughter?" My father's voice was sharp now. "Catherine, what is he talking about?" "David, I can explain. Emma Johnson is my sister," I said before my mother could spin another lie. 23 years ago, Mom had an affair and got pregnant. Instead of telling you, she gave the baby away to a woman named Rose Johnson and told everyone the baby died. My father stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "That's impossible," he said quietly. "Read the letter, Dad." I handed him the letter, and I watched his face change as he read each word. The confusion turned to shock, then to hurt, then to something that looked like rage. "Catherine," his voice was deadly quiet, "is this true?" My mother was crying now, big ugly sobs that shook her whole body. "I was so young, David. I made a mistake. I was scared." "You were scared?" He stood up so fast his chair fell over. "You gave away my daughter because you were scared? She would have ruined everything. My parents would have cut us off. Your business was just starting. We couldn't afford a scandal. So you let me believe my child was dead?" He was shouting now. "For 23 years, you let me grieve for a baby that was alive and growing up without me? I thought it was for the best. For the best." My father looked like he wanted to throw something. "Catherine, I mourned that baby every day for 23 years. Every single day, I wondered what she would have looked like, what kind of person she would have become. And she was out there the whole time. David, please. Where is she?" he demanded. "What? Where is my daughter? Where is Emma?" I looked at my mother, then back at my father. "She's in the living room." My father pushed past both of us and headed for the door. "David, wait." My mother called after him. 23 years, Catherine. 23 years you've stolen from me." I followed him to the living room, where Emma was sitting on the couch, twisting her hands nervously. When she saw my father walk in, she stood up quickly. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. "You have my eyes," he said finally, his voice cracking. "Mr. Williams, I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. Sorry." He took a step closer to her. "Emma, you have nothing to be sorry for. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I should have been there for you. I should have raised you and protected you and—" "You didn't know," Emma said softly. "It's not your fault." "Yes, it is." Tears were streaming down his face. "I should have fought harder when your mother said the baby died. I should have demanded to see you. I should have known something was wrong." "What do you mean?" My father sat down heavily in his chair, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "When your mother told me she lost the baby, something fell off. She wouldn't talk about what happened. She wouldn't let me see the hospital records. She said it was too painful to discuss." "But you believed her," Emma said. "I wanted to believe her because I loved her. But deep down, I always wondered." He looked up at Emma. "And then you walked into that gala wearing your mother's necklace and I knew. You knew. The moment I saw you, I knew you were my daughter. You looked just like my sister did when she was your age. Same eyes, same smile, same way of tilting your head when you're thinking. I felt sick. Dad, if you knew, why didn't you say anything?" "Because I thought I was going crazy. Because I'd spent 23 years believing my daughter was dead, and suddenly there she was, dating my son." He shook his head. "I convinced myself it was just wishful thinking." Emma sat down across from him. "What happens now?" "Now." My father leaned forward. "Now I try to make up for 23 years of not being your father. But what about your marriage? Your reputation? Mike said this could ruin everything." My father looked at her with such love in his eyes, it made my chest hurt. "Emma, I lost you once because I was too weak to fight for the truth. I'm not going to lose you again because I'm worried about what other people think." That's when my mother walked into the room. "David, we need to talk about this privately." "No." His voice was ice cold. "We're done talking privately, Catherine. We're done with secrets and lies. But the media will find out. The scandal will destroy your business. Let it." He stood up and walked over to Emma. "Emma, I know I don't have the right to ask this, and I know I can never make up for the years we lost. But I would like to be your father now if you'll let me." Emma started crying. "I've wanted a father my whole life." "Then you have one." He hugged her, and I watched my father hold his daughter for the first time in 23 years. But my mother wasn't done. "This is insane," she said, her voice getting shrill. "You can't just bring her into our family like nothing happened. She's been raised by strangers. She doesn't belong in our world. She belongs wherever I am," my father said without letting go of Emma. "David, be reasonable. Think about Michael's future. Think about what this will do to him. I've been quiet long enough. What this will do to me." I stood up, anger burning through every nerve in my body. "Mom, do you want to know what this will do to me?" "Michael!" "It will give me back my sister. It will give me the family I always wanted but never knew I was missing." "But you were going to marry her. You were in love with her. Because you lied to us. If we'd known the truth from the beginning, none of this would have happened. I was protecting this family. You were protecting yourself." I was shouting now, 23 years of lies and manipulation pouring out of me. "You gave away your own daughter to protect your reputation. You let Dad grieve for a dead baby while his living daughter grew up in poverty. You tried to bribe Emma to disappear when you thought she might threaten your perfect life. And when I fell in love with her, instead of telling us the truth, you lied and said we were cousins. I did what I thought was best. For who? For you. Everything you've ever done has been about protecting yourself." My mother looked around the room desperately, like she was looking for someone to take her side. "David, you can't seriously be considering this. What will people say? What will the board of directors think? What about the charity organizations I work with?" My father looked at her with disgust. "Catherine, I don't care what people say. I don't care about the board or your charities or your reputation. I care about my daughter. She's not really your daughter. She's more my daughter than you are my wife." The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. "David, you don't mean that." "I mean every word. Emma, do you want to know something about your mother?" "David, don't. She's done this before." Emma and I both stared at him. "What do you mean?" Emma asked. 6 years ago, I found out your mother was having another affair. With my business partner, Richard Hayes. My mother went white as snow. When I confronted her, she begged me to forgive her. She said it was a mistake, that she'd end it immediately. She promised she'd never betray me again. Dad! But she didn't end it. Did she, Catherine? My mother started backing toward the door. "You've been seeing Richard for 6 years, meeting him at hotels, taking trips together when you tell me you're visiting your sister. Did you really think I didn't know? David, I can explain. Just like you explained giving away our daughter. Just like you explained all the lies you've told me for 25 years. He turned to Emma and me. "I've been staying in this marriage for Michael's sake, pretending everything was fine. But I'm done pretending. I'm done letting this woman poison our family with her lies." "What are you saying?" my mother whispered. "I'm saying I want a divorce, Catherine. I'm saying I want you out of this house tonight. And I'm saying that Emma is moving in tomorrow because she's my daughter and she belongs here. You can't do this to me. Watch me." My mother looked at all of us, and I could see the exact moment she realized she'd lost everything. "Fine," she said, her voice turning cold and mean. "But don't think this is over. I'll fight the divorce. I'll take half of everything you own, and I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of family you really are. Go ahead," my father said calmly. "Tell everyone. Tell them how you gave away your own daughter. Tell them how you had multiple affairs. Tell them how you lied and manipulated everyone around you for decades. See how much sympathy you get." She stared at him for another long moment, then turned and walked out. We heard the front door slam a few minutes later. The three of us sat in silence for a while, trying to process everything that had just happened. "I'm sorry," Emma finally said. "I never wanted to break up your family." "You didn't break up anything," my father assured her. "This family was broken long before you came back into it. You're the thing that's going to help us heal." "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we start over," my father said. "We be the family we should have been all along." Over the next few weeks, everything changed. Emma moved into the house and took the bedroom next to mine. My father legally recognized her as his daughter and put her name on all his business documents. He paid for her to finish college and set up a trust fund to make sure she'd never have to worry about money again. But more than that, he became the father she'd always dreamed of having. He taught her about the business. He took her to fancy restaurants and explained which fork to use. He bragged about her to anyone who would listen. And me, I got my sister back. It was strange at first, learning to love Emma in a different way. But it was also beautiful. All those feelings of connection and belonging that I'd felt when we were dating made perfect sense now. She was my family. She was the missing piece I'd never known was missing. Emma thrived in ways I'd never seen before. Having a father who loved her and a brother who protected her gave her confidence she'd never had. She started smiling more, laughing more, trusting more. My mother tried to fight the divorce, just like she'd threatened. But when her affair with Richard Hayes became public knowledge, and when the story about giving away her daughter hit the newspapers, public opinion turned against her fast. She got a settlement, but nowhere near half of everything like she demanded. And more importantly, she lost the one thing she'd always cared about most, her reputation. 6 months after that terrible night at the gala, Emma and I were sitting on the back porch of our family home watching the sunset. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we'd never found out?" she asked. "We would have found out eventually," I said. "Secrets that big always come out. But what if we'd gotten married first? What if we'd had kids?" I thought about it. Then we would have dealt with it then. "Emma, I need you to know something." "What?" "I'm not sorry it happened the way it did." She looked at me with surprise. "Really? Even though it was so painful?" "Especially because it was painful. Emma, if we'd never gone through all that, we might never have learned the truth about our family. Mom would still be lying and manipulating everyone. Dad would still be grieving for a daughter he thought was dead. And you'd still be out there somewhere, feeling like you didn't belong anywhere. And you'd still be dating your sister," she added with a smile. "And I'd still be dating my sister," I agreed, laughing. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. "Mike!" "Yeah, I'm glad you're my brother. I'm glad you're my sister." 2 years later, Emma graduated from college with honors. My father walked her across the stage and cried like a baby. She got accepted to graduate school to study art history, and she's going to take over the family's art collection someday. She also started dating a guy named Chris, who works at the local animal shelter. He's kind and funny and treats her like a queen. Most importantly, he makes her happy in a way I never could have. Because I was never supposed to be her boyfriend. I was supposed to be her big brother. And that's exactly what I am. My mother still lives in town, but we rarely see her. She married Richard Hayes 6 months after the divorce was final, but apparently they're already having problems. Turns out, men who help married women cheat aren't always the most trustworthy husbands. Who would have thought? My father is happier than I've ever seen him. He talks about Emma constantly, shows her picture to everyone, and has already started planning her wedding even though she and Chris have only been dating for 8 months. "I missed 23 years of her life," he told me recently. "I'm not missing another day." And me. I'm planning to propose to a girl named Amy who I met at Emma's graduation party. She's smart and kind and makes me want to be a better person, just like Emma did, but in a completely different way. Because Amy isn't my sister. Sometimes people ask me if I regret falling in love with Emma. They ask if it was embarrassing or traumatic to find out we were related. The truth is, I don't regret any of it. Not the love, not the pain, not even the confusion and heartbreak. Because all of that led us to the truth. And the truth, as painful as it was, set us free. Emma isn't the girl I was supposed to marry. She's something much better. She's the sister I was always supposed to have. And that necklace that started it all. Emma still wears it every day. But now it doesn't represent a secret or a lie. It represents the truth that brought our family back together. Sometimes the best love stories aren't about finding the person you're supposed to marry. Sometimes they're about finding the family you're supposed to have. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to face the truth, even the most broken families can be healed. Even when that truth changes everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and what it really means to belong somewhere. The Williams family learned that some secrets are worth keeping, and others are worth revealing. Sometimes the most painful truths lead to the most beautiful transformations. And sometimes, the love you think you've lost is just the love you haven't learned how to see yet.